Today we're creating a sacred space. So as you can see, I have the Buddha holding a candle which is burning at the moment. Now I would always start by lighting a candle anytime I want to create a sacred space. But obviously you need to be aware of the building that you're in. If you're using a public building, they don't always allow you to light candles or burn incense or burn sage, which is why we've got a range of different options here on the table. If you're allowed burn, then go ahead, light a candle. What you also can use, this is some white sage, and as you can see from the ash at the end of it, what you do with that is you light it from the candle and wait till it flames. Then just give it a wee shake till the flames go out so it's smouldering, there's smoke coming off it. You start at one side of the room and work your way all the way around the outskirts of the room until you're back at that place. Start off setting your intention. Perhaps you'd like to say a prayer, especially if it's a Reiki situation that you're doing it in. If you're either going to work with a client or you're a master and you're about to tune some students. So you could open up with your Reiki prayer and ask that through the California white sage, you'd like to use this to clear the space and create it full of love and energy so that the best possible practice can happen there, be it with the client or be it with the student. Again, we also have, or what we have here is some holy wood, and it's the same idea as the California white sage. You light it until it smoulders, and then you just let the smoke go. As you go around the room, you just let the smoke release into the air. And again, with all these, you're setting the intention of wanting to clear the space. So it's the same prayer, or just if you don't pray, then simply put out an intention. If you're a Reiki practitioner who doesn't pray, then whatever way you open up to the Reiki energy is what I'm classing as the Reiki prayer for this. There's also dragon's blood. This smells absolutely amazing. A friend introduced me to it. But dragon's blood is also a form of protection, which is really good. So not only are you clearing out the space, but you're putting a wee seal on it to keep it nice and fresh and how you'd like it. So if you haven't got any California white sage or you've no access to holy wood, then you can use some incense. Like I say, dragon's blood smells amazing. There are different manufacturers of dragon's blood. This just happens to be the type that I had to hand today. I do have another type that I use. But you can use any incense. What I would recommend is that you use an incense which is personal to you and has meaning to you. Could just be that there's something about the smell that you're drawn to, which is fine, and there'll be a reason for that. You may not always know the reason. Now, that's burning stuff and smelly stuff. You can obviously use your Reiki energy. You can bring it in. One way you can do that is by putting your symbols into the four corners of the room, standing in the centre of the room, doing your symbols again, and asking for all the unwanted energy to be removed and for the room to be filled with amazing, wonderful Reiki energy. The second way is sound. Now this here is a little mini singing bowl. You can simply, there, it did it for me without me even having to actually strike it. You can use the singing bowl, or you can simply chime it, and you can hear that it resonates, and it's quite peaceful as the resonation kind of spreads out. Another thing you can use are tingshaw bells. Everything wants to work before I'm ready for them to go today. So you just hold them loosely. You can see they're dangling, and you just chime one off the other. Now I love using sound, and just wait for it to completely stop. There's also, I don't know if you can hear that. So you could use balls like this, anything that makes a sound or a vibration. A tuning fork's really good too. Like I say, just set the intention that you want to clear the space. And if you don't have access to any of these things, then this is simply long-grained rice and an old plastic water bottle. And what I've done is I've just put the long grain rice before it was boiled into the bottle, and seal the top. Now I've had this with me about 4 or 5 years, and if you hear, it almost sounds a little bit like water when it's running. Um, this is actually normally used for shamanic work. Um, but what you can do, like I say, you can just simply use your Reiki energy, so you don't need any extra tools. It just depends on where you're working. If you're working in a space which is one that is only used for spiritual things, you know, it's a Reiki sanctuary that you have, then you're not going to need a deep cleanse every single time. If you're working in somewhere public where there's various different activities going on, then I would recommend that you do use, if you can, California white sage. That always makes the place feel really clear and empty. You know, the energy just feels peaceful. If you can't use that, then use sound. Now, if you are in a building which has residences around you, obviously you're not going to want to make too much sound, but I would recommend the more sound, the better. One of the best ways I heard a building cleared was actually through shamanic drumming. It was a bit like a Byron drum, the Irish drum that they do the Irish music with. But it was a handmade shamanic drum that he had. And you could actually hear the drum play music. It wasn't just the beat of the drum. And afterwards, the energy in the space just felt absolutely amazing. So I would highly recommend something loud. Now, if you don't have a drum, if you don't have access to a drum, you maybe don't have access to a singing bowl or to some bells, you can go onto YouTube. You can find a video of somebody banging a drum or using a singing bowl. You can, like I say, put rice in a bottle and give it a good shake. Or if you like heavy metal music, it doesn't have to be all meditation music. It doesn't have to be all spiritually based stuff. You want essentially something that's going to rattle the bones of the building, of the room that you're going to be working in, to clear out any energy, anything that you don't want in there, and to reset it so that it's nice and fresh and friendly once more. So like I say, just set your intention before you start. Use whatever tools you're going to use to clear the space. And then say thanks at the end. And I don't mean at the end of your session, but at the end of when you're finished clearing the space. If you work with the angels, you might want to call in Archangel Michael to then put a seal of protection around the building while you're working in there. You could call in Archangel Raphael to bring healing to whatever energy's been cleared out of the space. And if there's any empty gaps that's been left in the energy, he can bring healing to that. You can ask Archangel Shamuel to bring in unconditional love, so that automatically you've cleared out all the negative energy and you're bringing in unconditional love, which is the most pure, amazing love there is. And then, like I say, Archangel Michael to seal it all in. You could even call in Archangel Gabriel, because especially if you're working with a client, you want anything that you say to them to come across clearly. And if they're having a clear out and they are talking to you about stuff, then having the Archangel responsible for communication is great to have there, which means that they can clear off whatever emotional baggage or whatever it is that they need to clear off their chest or to get out of their head, so that the right words can come out and that the most healing can take place for that particular session. Also, if you're teaching, if you're doing a Reiki attunement, then having Archangel Gabriel there is fabulous, because you want the right words to come out and you want the right message to come across, and the more help you can get, the better. And the archangels are always there for everybody, no matter what your belief system is. So that was just a wee quick video explaining how that all works. Just make sure when you're finished, give thanks for any archangels or deity or guides that you've called in to give you a helping hand with it. Thank you and namaste.